about the definition of force. I think the concept is clear for you. Now we are going to discuss the further topics and I am going to classify this force into two. Consider some of the examples. You are familiar with the trolleys, bags and all, right? Now, these are the two wheels of the trolley. When I am giving force on this, here the ground and the wheel have a contact, and also when I am holding this trolley, I have a contact with this trolley. So here in this case there happens a contact. Now consider another example. You can see here a coconut tree. Here a coconut is falling down. My question is, why this coconut is coming down without going to top? What is the reason? Who is pulling this down? The force pulling this coconut is called gravitational force. Gravitational force. It is a type of force, and we all know that everything is attracting to center of our earth. Everything is attracting to center of our earth. And if the object and this earth have a contact, you can look in this example. These all coconuts are attracted to center of our earth. But do they have a contact with our center of earth? No. At this point, when this coconut is on the coconut tree, they don't have contact with this ground. But this coconut is still attracting to our earth center. So in this case, there is no contact is happening. No contact. No contact. This is the two examples. In the last class, I said that for acting a force, we want to contact two objects, two or more objects. Now here is a controversy that if there is no contact between two objects, still they have certain forces acting. Now consider another example. I am drawing water from well. I am drawing water from well. This is the pulley and the rope and a bucket. Now, how can I draw water from this well? I want to push or pull this rope. That is, I want to hold this rope. Here, between my hand and this rope, there is a contact. In this example, for acting force, there happens a contact. This is another example. Now we are going to consider next example. Taking two magnets. I am taking two magnets. This is the north pole and this is the north pole again. Then what happens? Here repulsion occurs. Here is a repulsive force. That is, when I try to make this touch, it is impossible. They always have a repulsive force. Here force is acting, but here no contact is taking place. So here force is acting, but no contact takes place, and this is the example of this type of force. And if I take another two magnets, this is north pole and this is south pole, then what happens? Here this will get attracted. When these two get touch, touch will happen. But even if they are putting in certain distance, still they have attraction. That means in this magnetic force, they doesn't need a contact. That is, for example, I am keeping a pin or nail here. Then with a particular distance itself, this magnet attracts this nail and this nail will jump to this magnet. So without a contact itself, there happens a force. This is the example of no contact force. Now we are going to classify this force into two. The first one is contact force and the second one is non-contact force. Contact force and non-contact force. Contact force and non-contact force. Then how we can define this contact force? We can look the definition as it is the force applied by the contact between the object is called contact force. It is the force applied by the contact between objects is called contact force. That is, when two objects, considering the example, a ball is rolling through ground. After some time, this ball will stop. How this ball stops? In the last class, we said that for stopping a moving object, we want to give a force. Then who is giving this force? This force is given by the ground. The force is given by the ground and that force is called frictional force. That force is called frictional force. So, when this ball is moving to this side, the frictional force is acting opposite to this direction of this ball. So, here I said that this ball have a contact with this earth. That is, for acting force there needs a contact. That is the contact force. And non-contact force is the force which acts by without having a contact between the objects. That is non-contact force. Now we can give examples for this contact force and non-contact force. What are the examples of contact force? The first one is muscular force. Muscular force. The second one is frictional force. Now, what are the examples of non-contact force? What are the examples? The first one is gravitational force. Gravitational force. The second one is magnetic force. Magnetic force. The third one is electrostatic force. Electrostatic force. This is the three examples. Now, with this time, we said that we classified force into two. Contact force and non-contact force. Then contact force examples are muscular force and frictional force. Here, for non-contact force, the examples are gravitational force, magnetic force and electrostatic force. Now we are going to explain each and every forces. Now we are going to discuss about the contact forces. The first one is muscular force. Muscular force. What is this muscular force? When I want to hold a pen, what I do? I hold this pen using my hand, and in my hand there are muscles. So, the force given by the muscles are called muscular force. That is only in the consider of human beings, but also the animals also use this muscular force. So, the question is, do the contact is taking place in muscular force? Definitely yes, because when I want to hold this chalk, I want to pick this, that there have a contact, and this muscular force is an example of contact force. That is the first one. The next one is frictional force. Frictional force. Then what is this frictional force? We can consider an example. We all wear chappals, and when we walk through the road, our chappals get tear and wear. In similar way, the tires of our vehicles also get tear and wear. Who make this tear and wear? It is done by this frictional force. So, this frictional force is an opposing force that acts on a moving object against the motion. That is, when an object is moving to this side, this frictional force opposes its motion, and this frictional force is in opposite direction of this motion. That is frictional force. Your next chapter is frictional force, and we will talk it detail in that chapter. Now we are going to discuss the non-contact force. Here these two are the examples of contact force, and I think it's clear for you. Now we are going to explain the examples of non-contact force. The first one is magnetic force. Magnetic force. In your textbook, they explain an example. They consider 3 pencils in parallel, and here also they put 3 pencils parallel, or you can use wooden sticks. Now place a magnet on these pencils. Again here put a magnet on these pencils. Why we put it like this? For moving it easier. Now here it is north pole, and here again north pole. Then what happens? Here a push occurs, and when I am considering here south pole, what happens? Here an attraction occurs. So in the case of magnet, there occurs a push or pull. We already know. Or contact here occurs the force, the magnetic force. So this magnetic force is an example of non-contact force. And we also have to discuss about gravitational force and electrostatic force. We will discuss it in the next class. Now you want to read your textbook 2-3 times, and I will give you notes in PDF format. You please want to write it in your notebook, in a 100-page notebook, and we want to start our chemistry classes in next week. You want to write it in another notebook. I think today's class you understand everything. If you have any doubts, you can contact me in my WhatsApp number. Thank you.